That brings us to file item 79. We're going to pass and retain on 79. File item 80. Just a moment, Mr. Fong. Mr. Fong, I'm going to come back to you. That's a 54 vote bill. Pass temporarily on file item number 80. Pass and retain on file item 81. File item 82, AB 798 by Assemblymember Calderon. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 798 by Assemblymember Calderon, and act relating to children's health.
Assemblymember Calderon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present Assembly Bill 798, which adds children's diapers and wipes to the State Emergency Food Bank Reserve Program for distribution during a state of emergency. This bill ensures Californians won't have to choose between basic necessities or providing diapers for their children when disaster strikes. This bill has enjoyed broad bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Calderon. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 83, AB 821 by Assemblymember Gibson. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 821 by Assemblymember Gibson, and act relating to pupil instruction.
Assemblymember Gibson, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present Assembly Bill 821, Career Technical Education, empowers high school students with the skill and the knowledge that they need to explore career technical education. This bill has received bipartisan support. It supports support. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gibson. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, noes 0. The measure passes. File item number 84, AB 824 by Assemblymember Stefani. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 824 by Assemblymember Stefani, and act relating to protective orders.
Assemblymember Stefani, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'm proud to present AB 824, which improves awareness of a petitioner's right to appear remotely during protective order hearings and strengthens our laws by requiring individuals prohibited from possessing firearms to also relinquish any ammunition in their possession. This bill was inspired by a preventable tragedy last November when a couple seeking to extend a restraining order was shot and killed by a woman's ex-partner just outside the courthouse. Law enforcement had been unable to serve the ex-partner with the temporary restraining order, and he had not yet been disarmed. He knew the exact time and place of the hearing, giving him the opportunity to carry out this devastating act. Protective order cases often involve volatile and dangerous circumstances. We can help prevent tragedies like this by ensuring survivors are fully informed of their right to participate in these hearings remotely at no cost. There's no opposition to this bill, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Stefani. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 60, noes 0. The measure passes. File item number 85, AB 845 by Assemblymember Arambula. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 845 by Assemblymember Arambula, and act relating to employment.
Assemblymember Arambula, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 845 requires that the state agencies that receive farm worker complaints coordinate and share information so that we can resolve the workplace issues that were identified. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Arambula. All debate having ceased, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 0. The measure passes. We will pass temporarily on file item 86. Pass and retain file item 87. That brings us to file item 88, AB 888, by Assemblymember Calderon. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 888 by Assemblymember Calderon and others, and act relating to insurance.
Assemblymember Calderon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 888, which establishes the California Safe Homes Grant Program under the California Department of Insurance to assist with projects that are proven to reduce the risk of fire spread. Home and community hardening is necessary at a scale we've never seen before, and we're making up for decades of deferred action. Making California safer from wildfires is essential to protecting lives, homes, and access to insurance. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Calderon. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 58, no 0. The measure passes. Pass and retain on file item 89. File item 90, AB 906 by Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 906 by Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, and act relating to land use.
Assemblymember Gonzalez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to present AB 906, a bill that strengthens and clarifies California's affirmatively furthering fair housing law by improving how local governments develop and implement their housing elements. Building on 6 years of lessons from implementation, AB 906 addresses persistent shortcomings in how jurisdictions identify, plan for, and deliver housing opportunities, especially for protected classes under the current law. Despite progress, critical challenges remain. Some jurisdictions fail to meaningfully address displacement, disinvestment, and exclusionary patterns in their fair housing analysis. Affordable multifamily housing remains limited in higher income communities, undermining equity and access. Over-reliance on ADUs, which often lack affordable guarantees, has weakened efforts to plan for deeply affordable multifamily housing in some communities. My office has engaged in a productive conversation with stakeholders and opposition. We remain committed to working collectively to address the concerns as the bill moves forward. AB 906 is about making good on decades-old promise that where you live should never determine your worth, your opportunities, or your future. In my district of Boyle Heights, families have watched for decades as affordable housing has been concentrated in their neighborhood, while wealthier areas across the city resist any change. Despite being rich in culture and community, Boyle Heights has long been burdened with disinvestment, pollution, and displacement, while others benefit from exclusionary planning. That's not equity, that's not fair housing, and it's not sustainable. Today, paper plans are not enough. We need real commitments, real accountability, and real equity where homes are built and for whom. AB 906 gives us the tools to dismantle structural barriers and build communities where everyone, regardless of background, has a fair shot. You can't build justice on zoning lines that divide, only foundations that include. Let's meet this foundation with urgency, passion, and purpose. Fair housing is not charity, it's justice. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gonzalez. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 46, noes 11. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain on file item 91. Pass and retain on file item 92. Pass and retain on file item 93. Brings us to file item 94. AB 935 by Assemblymember Ransom. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 935 by Assemblymember Ransom, and act relating to state government administration.
Assemblymember Ransom, you are recognized.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker and members. Colleagues, I rise to present Assembly Bill 935, a simple bill that enhances the clarity and effectiveness of our civil rights protections, particularly in how we collect demographic data. For 2 years, the public has voiced concerns through comments and communications with the California Reparations Task Force about the lack of transparency and the need for transparency in our civil rights complaints process. AB 935 addresses this by requiring the Department of Education and the Civil Rights Department to collect and report basic, voluntarily provided demographic information when handling complaints. This bill directly reflects recommendations from the task force final report. It's in alignment with data already collected from the Department of Justice, and AB 935 will provide clarity, justice, and progress. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ransom. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 51, noes 9. The measure passes. I'm going to pass and retain on file item 95. That brings us to file item 96. We're going to pass temporarily on file item 96. Pass and retain on file item 97. Pass and retain on file items 98, 99. That brings us to file item number 100, AB 1099 by Assemblymember Bryan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1099 by Assemblymember Bryan and act relating to developmental services.
Assemblymember Bryan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise to present AB 1099, which will reduce access barriers at regional centers for foster youth. Currently, regional centers are experiencing an access gap for foster youth, specifically those who are suspected of having a disability. For reasons beyond their control, they often lack a formal diagnosis or formal records, and therefore the regional centers are not meeting the timelines that they currently have in place for all other youth. In addition, foster youth often move around from place to place, and therefore getting seen by a regional center in a timely manner is incredibly important. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bryan. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 63, no 0. The measure passes. Folks, we're going to go backwards. Now the author has come in. Back to file item 96, AB 1020 by Assemblymember Schiavo. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1020 by Assemblymember Schiavo and act relating to electricity.
Assemblymember Schiavo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present Assembly Bill 1020. As we know, the cost of climate change is sending electricity rates through the roof, and unaffordable rates risk discouraging households from purchasing electrification and consequently derailing our state's climate goals. Alternative financing mechanisms that lower the costs, such as publicly financed loans or grants, are a key recommendation from ratepayer advocates because they lower utility borrowing costs and shareholder equity returns, offering potential savings to ratepayers. Proper oversight of these taxpayer funds are essential to ensure that they are spent responsibly and accounting is transparent. AB 1020 sets up a quarterly reporting structure to do just that, so public dollars benefit the public and not shareholders. I respectfully request your aye vote on this ratepayer and tax dollar protection measure.
Thank you, Assemblymember Schiavo. All debate having ceased, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 45, noes 8. The measure passes. Members, if you'll indulge me, we're going to skip backwards in the file to file item 59, AB 495, by our Assistant Speaker Pro Tem, so she can then come up and relieve me. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 495 by Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez and others and act relating to immigration.
Assemblymember Rodriguez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present AB 495, the Family Preparedness Plan Act, a comprehensive and compassionate measure designed to prevent unnecessary family separation in our state. We know that due to current federal immigration enforcement actions, many families are living in fear. Parents are afraid that they may not be able to make it to pick up their children from school or childcare. Children worry that one day their family might simply be gone. No child should have to live with that uncertainty. It is critical that our communities have the information and tools to ensure our children are cared for by a trusted adult until they can be reunited with their families. AB 495 addresses this urgent issue in 4 key ways. First, it ensures that there are protections in place at schools by implementing the most up-to-date Attorney General guidance at K-12 schools. Second, it extends protections to child care facilities, requiring the Attorney General to publish model policies. Next, this bill creates new legal pathways to secure caregiving for children, including a new joint guardianship process through the probate court where parents can nominate a trusted guardian in the event that they are detained for any long-term absence. It will allow non-related extended family members to use a caregiver's authorization affidavit to ensure children continue receiving an education and medical attention. Finally, schools will be required to keep up-to-date emergency contact information and provide education materials to families about creating family safety plans. AB 495 is about ensuring caregiving continuity so that children do not experience traumatic separation nor enter our overcrowded foster system. Because we know that possible separation weighs heavily on many families in California, it is critical that our families have the tools and plan for and arrange for support and stable caregiving in the event they are separated. AB 495 is a legislative women's caucus priority, a progressive caucus priority, and is supported by immigrant and children's rights advocates. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rodriguez. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 51, noes 6. The measure passes. And we are moving forward again, back to file order number 101, AB 1111 by Assemblymember Soria. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1111 by Assemblymember Soria and others, enacting the people, transportation.
Assemblymember Soria, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1111 is a common sense bill by adding additional flexibility to the California zero-emission school bus mandate by allowing additional flexibility when determining the feasibility of switching to zero-emission buses, and modifies an existing incentive program to allow districts struggling to make the switch to zero-emission buses to receive buses from other districts. The legislature previously passed landmark legislation calling for most of California's school bus fleets to be zero emission by 2035 and all school buses to be zero emission by 2045, which I support. That legislation sought to make new strides in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and the amount of other toxic air contaminants emitted by these buses, while recognizing that some school districts were not ready and would need more time for the zero-emission technology to meet their needs. However, in the time since the law went into effect and districts have started planning their own switch to zero-emission vehicles, it has become clear we did not account for all the challenges of converting these bus fleets, especially in rural communities. While the original legislation allowed for extensions of the 2035 deadline for certain districts, it did not account for the lack of electric infrastructure available to the districts. Additionally, there has been a reduced availability of non-zero emission buses as school bus manufacturers have shifted their operations away from supplying diesel buses. This has left many districts, especially in my area, without any options to maintain their existing fleets if they need more time either to build out their charging infrastructure or for improvements in technology to help meet the needs of longer bus routes or the terrains that many in my community have to go through. AB 1111 will help these districts by increasing flexibility for the districts that need it the most and providing buses to act as a stopgap until they can implement the zero-emission bus requirement. I ask for your aye vote today.
Assemblymember Bauer-Kahan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise in support of AB 1111, but want to add that I think this is critically important in areas outside of rural California. We need to be supporting all of our communities in making this transition, and this bill does a great job, but hopefully we'll see it expanded in the future. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 59, noes 0. The measure passes. Item number 102, AB 1116 by Assemblymember Berman. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1116 by Assemblymember Berman, according to elections.
Assemblymember Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For more than a decade, our online voter registration system has enabled Californians with a California DMV-issued driver's license or identification card to seamlessly register to vote online. However, this leaves out many Californians who do not possess a DMV-issued ID, which disproportionately impacts low-income, young, and elderly Californians. Following the lead of 13 diverse states that have adopted this policy, AB 1116 would allow Californians without a DMV-issued ID but who provides their social security number to ensure their registration eligibility to use our online voter registration system. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 50, noes 16. The measure passes. Will pass and retain on file item 103. File item 104, AB 1120 by Assemblymember El Hawari. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1120 by Assemblymember El Hawari and according to foster care.
Assemblymember El Hawari, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker and members. I'm honored to present AB 1120 because we know, especially for me as a foster parent, know how important it is for youth to access culturally appropriate hair care that addresses their specific needs. And we want to send a clear message to our foster youth. We see you, you matter, and you deserve to feel comfortable and proud of who you are. This bill has no opposition and enjoys a support recommendation. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 66, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 105, AB 1127 by Assemblymember Gabriel. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1127 by Assemblymember Gabriel and others and act relating to firearms.
Assemblymember Gabriel, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to present AB 1127, which would protect communities from gun violence by encouraging gun manufacturers to prevent the conversion of their firearms to dangerous automatic weapons. Automatic weapons are lethal and capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute. They are also legal here in California. Unfortunately, some semi-automatic firearms feature a dangerous design element, allowing them to be easily converted to automatic weapons through the attachment of an easy-to-use device known as a switch. Recent statistics have shown that over the past decade, these automatic weapons have become increasingly prevalent. While law enforcement has been working diligently to get these illegal weapons off our street, gun manufacturers have refused to fix this deadly design feature. AB 1127 would prohibit the sale of semi-automatic handguns that feature these specific design elements. Sadly, certain actors in the gun industry have known about this issue for decades and have refused to do anything about it. AB 1127 is a pragmatic solution to this problem, and it will help keep dangerous automatic weapons off our street, save lives, and make California safer for all of our children. This bill enjoys support from Moms Demand Action, Giffords, Brady, Everytown for Gun Safety, and community-based advocates from across California. Thank you, and I respectfully request your aye vote on AB 1127.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 48, noes 14. The measure passes. File item 106, AB 1131 by Assemblymember Ta. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1131 by Assemblymember Ta and act relating to housing.
Assemblymember Ta, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 1131 would authorize the Housing and Community Development Department to include assisted living facility in the housing element report and allow city to count these units toward their regional housing need allocation goal. By encouraging construction of assisted living facility, it would free up more homes in the housing market. AB 1131 has no opposition and has received no vote. I respectfully ask for aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 61, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to item 118, AB 1264 by Assemblymember Gabriel. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1264 by Assemblymember Gabriel and others and act relating to pupil nutrition.
Assemblymember Gabriel, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I am pleased today to present AB 1264, first in the nation bipartisan legislation that would phase out particularly harmful ultra-processed foods from school meals in California by 2032. In recent years, doctors and scientists have increasingly warned us about the negative health consequences of ultra-processed foods. These products are often filled with harmful additives and specifically engineered to interfere with our brain signals in ways that can contribute to food addiction. The science is clear. Consumption of ultra-processed food is a leading driver of poor health outcomes and rising healthcare costs. These foods have been linked to serious health harms, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, reproductive harms, and neurobehavioral issues in children. This bill is based on the common sense premise that our public schools should not be serving students products that can harm their physical or mental health or interfere with their ability to learn. Under this bill, we would move forward with two simple steps. We would establish a first effort definition of what qualifies as an ultra-processed food, and then the bill would direct state scientists working with the University of California to identify a subcategory of particularly harmful ultra-processed foods that should be phased out of schools by 2032 based on their known health harms. Scientists would be charged with determining whether a product meets that definition by considering factors such as whether it includes additives that are banned or restricted in other jurisdictions, whether the product or ingredients have been linked to harms such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, or metabolic disease, and whether the product contributes to food addiction. To be clear, this bill will not result in a ban of any foods in California, nor will result in any products coming off our shelf. On the contrary, it will simply encourage school districts to put students first and also to prioritize California-grown agricultural products in school meals. This year, California is projected to serve over 1 billion school meals. So changing what we serve in our students is an incredibly powerful way that we can make a difference in their physical and mental health. This bill is supported by the California Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Diabetes Association, the California State PTA, and school administrators from across California. Thank you, and I respectfully request an aye vote on AB 1264.
Assemblymember Macedo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me begin by commending the author for this very well-intentioned bill, which is improving children's health. The main concern that I have with this particular bill is under its current form, it is too broad. Ultimately, I understand your intent to not harm the Central Valley or locally grown foods and also nutrition food, but this could impact locally grown, California-grown products. There are concerns that this measure will result in unintended consequences like a ban on safe natural ingredients commonly used in agriculture and food processing. This includes cornstarch, egg whites, and natural colorants like beet juice. These are not quote-unquote junk food ingredients. They are fundamental building blocks in a wide range of healthy products. AB 1264 risks reducing food variety and increasing costs in school cafeterias at a time when districts are already struggling with food access, procurement delays, and tight budgets. Many of the ingredients flagged under the definition in the bill are natural and help preserve the shelf life and food safety. Removing them could actually increase food spoilage and waste. This bill needs a more specific definition of ultra-processed to ensure locally grown and produced food from the Central Valley is not captured within the definition. So my question to the author is, are you willing to make sure that those constraints that we can bring the definition of ultra-processed to not impact California-grown foods?
Would you like to answer in your closing, Assemblymember Gabriel?
I'm happy to answer the author's question. Thank you for making that point. I know that there are some folks out there who are opposed to this bill who are trying to maybe suggest that it does things that it absolutely doesn't do. What I have done at the request of my co-author, Mr. Gallagher, is actually include a floor amendment to make it clear that we want to double down on prioritizing California agriculture in our school foods. We know that we are the breadbasket of the world. We know that we are producing incredible, healthy food here in the state of California. And the goal of this bill is actually to get more of that healthy, locally grown California produce onto our school meals. I will share that a couple of data points. One, if you look closely at the bill, in no way, shape, or form is there a world in which it's going to ban any of these agricultural products. That's simply not possible unless they have been linked by scientific research to cancer or any other serious disease. They're absolutely going to be excluded from the terms of the bill. And secondarily, we have talked, to your point about costs, we have talked to school districts across the state, including some districts in Mr. Patterson's area that have switched to locally grown agriculture and actually found that they have saved a lot of money. Rather than buying frozen, highly ultra-processed food from other parts of the state, they have worked to prioritize California agriculture. So we're happy to continue conversations with stakeholders, but we feel really, really good that this is a bill that's going to lift up California agriculture.
Assemblymember Quirk Silver, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm proud to support AB 1264 by the member from San Fernando Valley. This bill takes me all the way back to my classroom teaching days in elementary school, which actually planted a seed literally into become involved with school nutrition. As a first grade teacher, I walked by the lunchroom and saw that for breakfast, the students had Fruit Loops poured with chocolate milk into the Fruit Loops with the churro and orange juice as their public school meal. Any of you who follows how much sugar on that plate is, you will know that teaching those children right after that breakfast was a feat in itself. But the point being is after that, we worked closely with our health services and nutrition services to really start to, and this was 20 years ago, to work on how do we improve school lunches. One was, and parents, you can do this, I promise, I have adult children, you can take items out of their meals like chocolate milk and give them real milk or water, and they will actually drink that if they don't have the choice. So some of the things that are still served in our public school meals are pizzas, brownies, churros, and when you pair that with maybe a healthy apple or salad, we all know what children are going to do. You don't have to answer, but they're going to put away the apple, leave it there, and eat the brownie or have the orange juice. It is what we do in our school lunch programs that are the basis for what students will eat in the future. There have been many pilot projects for bringing salads back to schools, letting schools have farm to fork, and these are actually working. Sadly, one of the big outcomes for young children that eat highly processed, ultra-processed foods is they, in the future, can suffer from things like diabetes. We know that particularly in the Latino community, diabetes is not only prevalent, but it is happening at younger and younger ages. We actually had a doctor come into my school with elementary school students and show us the signs of early diabetes. For those of you who never have seen it, they start to get rashes right here on their arms, the back of their necks, and these are children that are about 12 years of age. So this is an important bill. We can do better by our school lunches and uplift our agriculture in this great state of California. I support AB 1264.
Assemblymember Calra, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I want to thank the author for his many years of dedication to making our foods healthier, especially in our schools. This bill really is common sense because of a lot of what was already mentioned by colleagues, including the health crisis amongst our youngsters. And the fact that we do live in California, there's really little excuse for us to get healthy produce, healthy foods into our schools for the benefit of not just the children, but for the farms and the agriculture industry as well. In Santa Clara County, there was a pilot program that has now since become permanent, where they worked with the nonprofit that initially put 100 salad bars in public schools across the county. And what they found is when parents aren't there, they saw elementary school, middle schoolers choosing to eat from the salad bar, especially when they saw their friends doing it. And what we are also seeing, the data is showing that the younger generation is more health conscious. But even as they go on to college, what have you, they're drinking less, smoking less, drinking less soda. This is an opportunity for us to really instill these healthy values at a young age, which will help them learn better, avoid very costly health issues, not only later on in life, but in their present day situations. and ensure that we can support what is a quintessential California economy. I do know that there are other details that as a co-author, I'm certainly excited to support the bill, and there's some details that I look forward to continuing to work with the author on. But given his dedication to this issue, I'm confident that we're going to have a bill that truly drills down on those most dangerous products and at the same time encourages our schools to buy California produce, California products from California farms and small businesses. Thank you.
Assemblymember Ransom, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to address this bill. I want to thank our colleague for bringing this very important bill. I did not intend to speak on this bill, but hearing folks talk about this, I thought it was important to really, one, I'm going to tell a story about once upon a time at home in my pantry. There was a loaf of bread that fell behind something in the pantry. It was there for about 4 months before we discovered it, and it did not mold. That's concerning that we have bread that is so processed that it can sit for 4 or 5 months and not mold. I'll fast forward. You all know that I have 3 adult children. My kids were in school, and they would come home and they would be ravished and hungry, and they would not eat the school food because they would say, that's mystery meat. We don't know what that is. We don't want to eat the mystery meat. So on days when they had mystery meat, they didn't know what it was. They would not eat the school lunch. But when they went to a school that did bring in fresh produce, that had salad bars, that had fruit options, and most of those were from locally grown sources, they did eat their lunches. And it really felt good to not be asked to stop doing my work to bring my kids lunch, or be concerned that they were not eating, or 3, be concerned that they were eating things that some countries don't even allow their humans to consume. So I appreciate that this bill, will bring in fresh food, locally grown food and opportunities, and also that we are doing something that I wish we would do more of in this body, which is use scientists, bring in science and data to address some of the problems that we want to solve here in California. So with that, I'm happy to support this bill, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Assemblymember Ellis, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, members, thank you. To my colleague's point, I want to bring science into this. I looked at the bill and actually supported and commend you in bringing this bill forward. However, I can't support it based on the broad definition of ultra-processed foods. I'll give you one example and then I'll shut up. There are, in the definitions, they said emulsifiers. Emulsifiers can be vegetable oil, they can be water, they can be simple, everyday constituents that are totally non-carcinogenic. So I oppose this based on science and the broad definition. If you can narrow that down to what's really carcinogenic, I commend you. Thank you.
Assemblymember Patterson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My colleague from San Jose mentioned that in some district or something that every child, when they were given an option of a salad bar, chose that. And I think that's a lie. I have never met a child at a school lunch that has eaten a salad. So, but what we can have is fresh meat, fresh chicken, fresh fruit to go along with the fresh salad that we have on the floor as well, and as well as vegan protein choices as well. But I think this bill's headed in the right direction. I appreciate the author's intent, taking some amendments to clarify, to ensure that our agriculture community can continue to provide products, because I think that's the intent of this bill, is to ensure that we can have fresh fruit, fresh meat, and yes, even fresh vegetables for salads for our children to eat. That's what we want. We want them to have California produce in the lunches. The stuff that our children are eating in schools, not in every district, is probably, it could be more important than the stuff that they're learning. Because the bad habits that they're forming at school and in our homes through the food that they're eating will have lifelong impact. The number one cause of death preventable cause of death in the United States is obesity. And I think with a bill like this, we're going to start in the right direction. But I do think we, respectfully to the author, have a little bit more work to do on ensuring that we're incentivizing California produce and agricultural products into our food meals. I believe that's his intent. I do think we have a little bit more work to do, but I think it's headed the right direction. Thank you very much.
Assemblymember Alanis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I also agree with the premise of this bill and making sure that we have healthy, nutritious food for our children in their schools. However, as you guys may know, I'm Vice Chair of Ag, and I know the Ag community has a lot of concerns in regards to this bill. Currently, as it's written, this bill would label many nutritious products like our dairy, our fruits, and our nuts as an ultra-processed food. I think we just need to take a closer look at that. I spoke briefly with the author, and just hearing what was said as well, I'm sure a lot of that is going to be addressed. But I know that that's a big concern that Ag has right now with what this bill is talking about. We want to make sure that we keep those jobs there, make sure that we keep everything, like I've even heard today, fresh food grown locally. So yes, we do want to keep that. And I don't think that's what this bill is intending to take away from. I know you'll probably do this in your closing, Mr. Author, but I know those are just concerns that the Ag community has with the dairy, the nuts, and the fruits. So I look forward to being able to support it when those are in there, and I thank you for your time.
Assemblymember Gallagher, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise as a father and a farmer in support of this measure and as a proud co-author. When this was brought by my colleague from the San Fernando Valley, I think we both connected on the issue because we see with our kids that they don't have access to necessarily the best food in their schools. And we see it all around us, not just in California, but throughout our country, that our kids are suffering from an epidemic of obesity. And that's not just due to food, it's due to exercise and other things as well. But certainly we can do better by ensuring that our kids, when they're at school, are getting better food, quality food. And it struck me as we were talking about this that the answer is all around us. Here in California, we grow some of the most amazing products. The highest quality, the safest, the most nutritious food is grown here in California, from all the way in Northern California, down the Central Valley, down into Southern California. And we have amazing products. And we have amazing industrious farmers who are ready to provide that food. And so to me, I see a really big win-win on this issue, is that we can, one, promote our California-grown products, and you see that in the recent language that expresses that intent. We want to make that into a real priority, that we really prioritize California food, grown food here in our schools. But I think the other part of this is also trying to get at how do we really hone in on some harmful ingredients that may be in our foods and try and remove those from our school lunches. And I think the way that we do that is through science and through really focusing in. And that is where I do believe, and the author and I have talked about this, the definitions need work. I do think we need to narrow those down and focus in on how that's done. I think we need to talk about, I believe the best place to do that is in our Department of Public Health, who does a lot of this work on nutrition already. And I think in that department, we could establish a review process and where we kind of review to really hone in on the most harmful ingredients and make sure that those aren't in our school lunch program. And so to me, I think that is what, I have a commitment from the author to work on. We want this bill to be very reasonable and that we get at the real goal here, which is to ensure that our kids are eating healthy food and that California-grown food is in our school lunch program. And that we have a true process that's based on science, that is really honing in on the harmful ingredients that may be, and making sure those are not in those school lunch programs. And so I think we can do that. And so that's what we're together in a bipartisan manner, I think, going to be working on as this moves forward in the Senate. We're not done. You know, the language that's here before you is not, to me, the final product. A lot of discussions that I think we both want to have with all the stakeholders to get there. But it's a worthy cause. And you're seeing this happen not just here in California, but really throughout the nation. And I think my colleague referenced that, and at the federal level. So this is something that we need to do. It's a worthy goal. And so together, I think we can get it right and ensure that that we do right by our kids in the school lunch program. So thank you, and ask for your support.
Seeing no further debate, Assemblymember Gabriel, would you like to close?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll try to be brief, but I do want to make a few points and thank my colleagues for their thoughtful comments, and particularly thank our Republican leader for everything that he just shared. Let me offer one frame to help think about this. What we're worried about is chemicals. It's not the foods. And maybe just to share, since I haven't had the opportunity maybe to talk with some of our newer members about the genesis of this, because I have done some work in this area over the past couple of years. A couple of years ago, we were approached by stakeholders wanting to talk about chemicals in our food supply. And I was a bit skeptical. For those of you that know me, I'm not a particularly healthy eater, certainly when it comes to quantity. And I wasn't sure, but my staff said, hey, just hear them out. Look at this. And as I sat down and read what was presented to me, it soon became apparent to me that the United States is a global outlier in food safety. That there are tons of chemicals that are put into our food here in the United States that are outlawed in Europe, that are outlawed in Latin America, that are prohibited in Asia. So we are decades behind the rest of the world. And so we introduced a very modest bill that first year to ban 4 chemicals that are allowed from foods here in the state of California. We were successful in moving that bill and getting the governor to sign it. And since then, we actually spurred action by the FDA. 2 of those chemicals were banned at a national level by the FDA, and the others are under review. Last year, we did a bill, as some of you may remember, around some of the food dyes that are served in schools that are particularly an issue for some of our students that have issues with hyperactivity or other neurobehavioral issues. And we did the work, as the minority leader said, and we passed that bill off the assembly floor 70-0. Because the touchstone of the approach that we have taken here in California is three legs to the stool: bipartisan, common sense, and science-based. And we have focused on the science. We have focused on areas where people from different political parties can come together and do this work. And as a result of that, more than 20 other states, some of the reddest states in our nation and some of the bluest states in our nation, have followed California's lead to do this. Because I think there's a growing awareness, as our colleague from Stockton talked about, among parents about why are we allowing our children to be exposed to chemicals that you can't put in food in Sweden or Saudi Arabia or South Korea. We don't love our children any less than the parents in any of those countries, and yet somehow we are allowing them to be exposed to chemicals that are linked by science to cancer, that are linked by our best science to neurobehavioral harms. So that's fundamentally what this bill is about. It is about continuing that trajectory of saying we love our kids and we want to make sure that we are not serving them foods that can harm their physical or mental health or interfere with their ability to learn. And based on that 3-legged stool of bipartisan, common sense, science-based, I would ask for your aye vote on AB 1264.
Debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 53, noes 1. The measure passes. We will next move to item number 53, AB 468 by Assemblymember Gabriel. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 468 by Assemblymember Gabriel and others, enact related to crimes.
Assemblymember Gabriel, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to present AB 468, bipartisan legislation that will provide law enforcement with better tools to protect communities during fires and other natural disasters. During the recent Southern California wildfires, we were all moved by the incredible bravery of our first responders. At the same time, we also witnessed individuals who sought to take advantage of this tragedy and further victimize our communities. When my community of Encino was under mandatory evacuation, many residents were deeply concerned about the safety of their homes, which created further anxiety about following evacuation orders. Looters, and particularly those who impersonate firefighters and other emergency personnel, create chaos and confusion, They endanger residents and first responders, they divert critical emergency resources, and they victimize communities that have already suffered devastating harm. This bill will provide us with better tools to address those issues and to close loopholes that can hinder prosecution. This legislation will also increase peace of mind for impacted communities by extending protections during the rebuilding process. By closing loopholes, providing stronger deterrence, and better protecting communities, AB 468 will make clear that we cannot and will not tolerate behavior that endangers public safety or puts our first responders at risk. This legislation enjoys strong bipartisan support and is backed by a coalition that includes the California professional firefighters, the fire chiefs, the fire districts, the police chiefs, the mayors of San Francisco, San Diego, and Sacramento, the League of California Cities, and district attorneys from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Santa Clara, Sacramento, Ventura. Thank you, and I respectfully request your aye vote on AB 468.
Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized.
Thank you. I rise as a proud joint author of AB 468. In the months since the Palisades fire, my constituents have shared countless stories about how they have navigated the evacuation of their homes. These stories all focus on the fear that they felt, not just from the threat of the fire, but from leaving their homes unprotected against looters. Now, as we are finally able to safely open PCH to the public, concerns about the safety and security of the rebuilds is front of mind for many who have already lost everything. I'm proud to join my fellow joint authors in sending a clear message to disaster victims that we have their backs, and no one should dare attempt to take advantage of them. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Assemblymember Michelle Rodriguez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today in strong support of Assembly Bill 468 and would like to thank my colleague from Los Angeles for his leadership on this important measure. Californians are at their best when we come together in times of crisis. Unfortunately, while most rise to help one another, a few choose to exploit the chaos, looting, stealing, and preying on vulnerable communities. AB 468 sends a clear message. Taking advantage of disasters for personal gain will not be tolerated. As a mother of an LA County deputy who worked 12-hour days during the recent Los Angeles fires to prevent looting, we must give our law enforcement the tools they need to protect and serve. This bill strengthens penalties for those who commit crime during states of emergency, helping protect our communities when they are most at risk. I respectfully urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this legislation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Assemblymember Harabedian, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank the Budget Chair for his leadership on this issue. I'm in strong support of AB 468. After wildfires, communities are super unstable, they're uneasy, people do not feel safe. And after these fires, before the National Guard came in, there was looting, there was impersonation of law enforcement personnel, especially firefighters, and there was a re-victimization of these fire survivors. Looting and impersonating law enforcement is unacceptable at any time. During a disaster like a wildfire, it's unforgivable, unacceptable. We cannot have National Guard lining our communities during these times. We can't have law enforcement there 24/7. The question is, how do we deter this behavior when the National Guard isn't there? And what this bill does and why it's so important is it will help deter any type of activity that would re-victimize anyone during a disaster going forward. And I think it's an important bill. I'd like to thank the Budget Chair for dealing with some points of opposition, some critiques that got worked out during committee and that have been worked out before this bill came to the floor. And I think it's a very good bill. I think it's stronger because of that. And I rise as a proud co-author and urge an aye vote.
Assemblymember Tanguipa, you are recognized.
Thank you, and I too rise in proud support of this bill as well. I know I reached out to the author to talk about my personal story. Back in 2018, when my family's property was really affected by the Carr fire, it was used as a lay yard for a lot of CAL FIRE and help and support. But after that, they left the area and looters came and backfilled. But they didn't just loot, they stole vehicles, and then they actually damaged the property by pushing others off the cliff for no apparent reason other than to cause additional damage. Looters are individuals who just go in and really attack people who are already down at their lowest point. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote to make sure that families deserve the protection when they've gone through so many issues like this, and truly thank the author for bringing this. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Assemblymember Gabriel, would you like to close?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me thank all my colleagues that support. I want to thank particularly our colleagues who have been impacted by the Palisades and the Eaton fires for their support in crafting this legislation. I want to thank our Public Safety Chair for the help in making sure that we thought through this in a really thoughtful and deliberative manner to make sure that it was as sharp and focused as it could be. So with that, respectfully request your aye vote on AB 468.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 62, noes 0. The measure passes. Returning to file item 107, AB 1136 by Assemblymember Liz Ortega. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1136 by Assemblymember Ortega, an act relating to employment.
Assemblymember Ortega, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to present AB 1329. Oh, no, sorry, 1136. This is a support bill with no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 50, noes 1. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file items 108 and 109. File item 110, AB 1201 by Assemblymember Jackson. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1201 by Assemblymember Jackson, an act relating to juveniles.
Assemblymember Jackson, you are recognized.
Thank you very much. This is AB 1201, which seeks to establish a more individualized, holistic, and tailored examination of a parent's past criminal history when they are eligible for reunification services. Currently, a parent who was previously convicted of a violent felony, even if it was before they became a parent, is presumed to be ineligible for these services. This bill brings back the opportunity to ensure that every situation is examined by a court and tries to do whatever is necessary to ensure that families are reunified and remain healthy. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 42, noes 14. The measure passes. We will pass and retain on file item 111 and 112. Item 113, AB 1239 by Assemblymember Dixon. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1239 by Assemblymember Dixon and others, an act relating to human trafficking.
Assemblymember Dixon, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. I rise to present AB 1239, which would require the Department of Justice to include data on the Open Justice web portal, the arrest for human trafficking, and the number of individuals who have been a victim of human trafficking. Despite positive steps taken by the legislature to tackle human trafficking and provide services to victims of human trafficking, there is currently a significant lack of data. I appreciate very much the good work of the Public Safety Chair and committee staff in working with me on this bill. The most recent Department of Justice report on human trafficking was released in 2012, and unfortunately, their most recent criminal statistics reporting requirements report does not include any specific reporting requirements for human trafficking or the victims. Finally, the annual Crime in California report by the Department of Justice has no information on human trafficking. Without accurate data and reporting, we cannot develop effective policies to help victims and their families overcome the devastation of human trafficking and put an end to the inhumanity that is human trafficking. Even one victim of human trafficking is one too many. This bill passed through both policy and fiscal committees with unanimous support. It has received no opposition and is sponsored by Three Strands Global Foundation. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 62, no 0. The measure passes.